What did we talk about for the last 10 minutes? That was good stuff in the kitchen.
Oh, man. Who drew the bad mic cable? Me. Figures. Doggone it.
Do you want another one?
No, I'm just going to have to hold it very carefully.
one.
I got another one, too. Totally. This is after I got yelled at by the one critic that we have in the world. Like, you can't let your billboard sneak up on you like that. It's totally unprofessional. Well, guess what? It's after hours. The meter's not running. We are unprofessional. Welcome again to the Smart to Noise Ratio Pro Audio Podcast. I'm your humble host, Jon Dayton. Joining me this week, your humble co-host, Anthony Kosobucki.
Hey, ladies.
And hopefully frequent special guest. Sorry, I had a little something in my throat there. Nothing snuck up on me there. I was just
$20 is $20. We understand.
Hush. Brandon Kapral joining us again.
Hello.
If you remember him from our drum podcast, we're glad to have him in the living room again. So yeah, we just we showed up and like sound guys do, took the coats off, started leaning around in the kitchen and talking about everything. We talked about pretty much a whole show worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now we're probably just gonna have to relive that conversation.
It's okay.
Whatever.
I don't remember most of it, so.
We've had enough beers at this point.
Okay. Well, you guys start thinking about that. I'm going to take care of the housekeeping.
Right.
Just wanted to say thanks to everybody who's made contact with us here last few days. I personally have gotten a ton of feedback from mainly guys on Reddit. We have one detractor out there, apparently.
I hope he's listening.
Jackass.
I don't know if he does or not. I don't care if he does or not. Like, the thing is, though, I think he meant well. Like, I don't think he was meaning to bash on us, but he was like, if you really want to improve your show, you need to do this and do that and hire a real host and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah, but that's not what we do. Like,
We don't actually make money off of this. This is
and it's super
sitting
informal.
on my couch.
That's the fun thing. That's what I like about listening to this show.
That's the thing. Like, if you want something polished, like, there's Pensado's Place. There's the thing that we really liked was, like, listening to the Audio Nowcast, where it's just guys talking about stuff. Like, we're not here to do tutorials or, deliver dissertations on stuff. It's just sound guys talking about stuff, which...
If you want, I can read you numbers all day long.
All day long.
All day long.
I do not want.
Do not want. But anyway, yeah, just to restate our mission statement here is, it's just sound guys talking about stuff. And if we have questions from the audience, we'll go over that stuff. But mostly it's just conversations, because when we were coming up through things, that was what we were hungry for. Like, we had access to texts. We had access to the internet. Like, we could read all the company propaganda we wanted from manufacturers, and we could, for the most part, find stuff in forums. And it's only really sort of recently that all the big guns have started blogging and doing their own shows and stuff. But, like, where I learned the most was just listening to guys that were more experienced than me talk about stuff. And it might not have been anything specific, but, like, maybe just a trick they came up with one time or a weird situation and how they got out of it. And that's how you amass your skills. So anyway, I call him our detractor. I don't think he was that much of a detractor. I think he really legitimately wanted us to help us improve the show, but we're not interested in improving the show.
The show's fine where it is unless someone starts paying us money to do it. So show's fine where it is.
I looked at the Google AdSense statistics after when we hit the 1 year mark a couple of weeks ago, and the blog has earned the grand total of $2.85 from
people clicking through ads.
We get so few click-throughs. Like,
they only count it so many times when I do it.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count when we do it.
If I sign out, it does.
Oh, all right. Well, thanks for that click-through last month. That was appreciative. But no, we're seriously not in for the money. Like, it doesn't cost us anything to do this. It takes up very little space on our hard drive. We post it on YouTube and other free places. It doesn't cost us anything to store it. So there you have it. That's who we are, what we do, what we're up to. What was the other? See, here I'm doing it. I'm wrecking the show, but whatever. At any rate, I guess we'll get down to business. We had a couple ideas about what to talk about. I'll go ahead and dive in, just because this is freshest in my mind. We haven't had a microphone discussion in a long time because we had so many lengthy microphone discussions back around the single-digit episodes.
Because we didn't know what else to talk about.
Right, but sound guys talk about mics a fair amount. But we had a pretty good one tonight, so we'll maybe pull some of that stuff back out again. But we had heard from our friends. Actually, you know what? I wasn't done thanking people from Reddit. Had a couple of people, I won't call them out by name, but a couple of people really sent in some just glowing... I don't want to sound like I got a big head, but like just had some really nice stuff to say to us and about what we do, and that was super helpful because you know what it's like being a sound guy. People just aren't nice to you. Like, they don't even treat you like a human being sometimes. You're just a machine that's there to make their microphones happen. So to hear that what we're doing is positively affecting people, that was just super. Had a couple of cats track me down by email. Had some guys post comments on the website. So just thanks for that. Can't say it enough. Your input coming back in, even if it's just a, hey, what's up? Like what you're doing. Even if it's criticism. I mean, I hate to keep calling out our so-called detractor from Reddit, but like even that was good input. It made us at least stop and think, like, well, do we really want to improve the show? Nah, we're pretty tired and pretty lazy at this point. So anyway, our friend Ica got back to us. Ica, who we missed, and who was actually one of the very early adopters of the Behringer X32 budget digital console. He had promised us back in October that once he purchased one in November, he was going to, in short order, send us a review, possibly some video, audio snippets. But now everybody in the world has chimed in on that, so he didn't feel like it would be super useful to contribute that. Although, if we can, I still haven't bothered to look up what the time difference is, figure out when we can do it. I'd love to get him on Skype, one, just to talk to him. Like, he's been a long-time supporter of the blog and the podcast. Always good with feedback, and he's also working on his own stuff. He's actually got some stuff written that he has an editor going over now. Yeah, so nice. We'll fill you in on that once he has some stuff out to look at. But anyway, Ica, one of the things, Ica sent me a lengthy email that I actually I've sat down to read it about 8 times, and every time something has come up that I've had to pull away. But the first thing was just, how do you deal with demanding clients? How do you deal with unappreciative clients? And I'm up against that a little bit. Like, I honestly don't care who's listening. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and it's going to sound awful, but you're either going to get it before I start speaking, or you're going to get it after I'm done speaking. Working at the church, like, my mission is to deal with our house bands and all the tech that surrounds them, facilitate their work as best as possible, to have the best Sunday morning worship that we can have, and, whatever other things are going on, whether we're making movies or video pieces or recording records or doing concerts, that's my thing. So I own that. I'm friends with them all. We all get along for the most part, and that's just what I do. Additionally, we have a bunch of special events come through. The local high schools do their band and orchestra concerts because their venues aren't big enough. We do fundraisers, like people with organizations, charity events come in and use our building for their fundraisers. Different groups within the building do meetings, and
there's always something going on all the time at your place and mine. Like, it's just...
And I actually luck out, because a lot of the time I don't have to worry about it. Like, we have these media carts that, for all, anything that fewer than 200 people are coming to, they'll just roll out a media cart, and it's got a projector and a couple of mics on it and a little sound system, and it's done. So I'm blessed in that I don't have to deal with that. But what I do get is people that, 1,500 people are going to come to their event, and it's going to have, like... The elementary school orchestra, the junior high orchestra, the middle school orchestra, the senior high orchestra, the combined fiddlers group, and then every single musician in the building is going to play. That was the event we did yesterday. And I get a text sheet that just says Orchard Park Orchestra event. It doesn't say anything. So, sooner, and I did one of these last year, so I kind of remembered what it was like. But,
It's funny, the guy that runs that goes to my church.
Oh, yeah, so like the janitors show up about 9 a.m. day of, and our house crew has already set up the chairs on stage for them, and they show up with box truck after box truck full of harps and double basses and music stands and this and that, timpani. And they set all that up, and then I find out that, it's orchestra, but then there's this other thing we do that's just the fiddlers, and they play some hoedown type stuff. Well, we'd like to come down just on the steps and have the kids be there. Okay, no problem. I'll light that. I'll get a couple mics out. Yeah, that's good, because there aren't that many guitar players, and I don't want them to get lost, and I don't want the double bass to get lost. How many kids? Oh, I don't know, 25, 30. No. Try 65. But anyway, whatever. We made it work. I'm not here to complain about it, because whatever. It's my pleasure to make sure 1,500 spectators and I don't know, several 100,000 high school musicians all had a good time was had by all at the Orchard Park. The thing is, though, these are not my people. I am not day in, day out with these people. I am not behind their mission. Same thing with like charity fundraisers that come in. Like, hey, super! I'm glad you're reaching out to inner city kids. Wonderful! I'm glad you're reaching out to like divorced couples and promoting healing. I love it that you're raising money to send food to Africa or clothes to Syrian refugees. But your mission is not my mission. Your people are not my people. I just don't care. But
I think the issue comes where the job is so difficult as it is, that when you like what you do and you care about the people you're working for, it makes all the difference. And then when you don't, it just feels like a job.
It's generally like a symbiotic type thing with people that you work with all the time. Like I know, your people, I know my people, Brandon knows his people that you deal with all the time, but you've got all these random jokers that just show up and want all kinds of things, and they think because...
Right, they say, we just need a microphone. Like, oh, yeah, and an operator and a projectionist and 2 camera guys. And by the way, it's not 1 input, it's 13. And can you record it and, mix and master it and have it ready on CD before people leave?
After that is when I invested in very nice rolling chairs. I could just make my sweep like a librarian down the whole shelf, switch slide, bump up next vocalist, hit record. We're good.
Yeah, but what it is, like it's easy to invest day to day because I've got a good working relationship going with my people. It's just it does feel like a job when I have to do it for whatever band director that I don't know and I'm not going to see again for another year and a bunch.
And they don't really care. Like they don't. I guess it's not. They don't understand.
They don't understand tech, so I get a tech sheet that doesn't say anything.
It's like, got a guy's name on it with a phone number.
And they don't understand what goes into making what they want happen.
Right.
So your 8 hours of work or 24 hours of work, they don't understand that it takes that much to get their job done. It would
be tough enough if you had a tech sheet that said all this ridiculous stuff, but like it comes all day. You're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to seat 20 cellists in the pit, which in my venue isn't easy to light. And that's
without getting something up there and really like just jumping up with a yardstick and hoping you can shove it far enough.
I directly abuse some C clamps to make that happen. Like they exceed spec a good deal to throw light down into the pit.
But he gaff taped around it too, just in case.
Just in case it shatters. So
I won't tell the fire inspector. It's fine.
He got cut to part-time. I found out 2 weeks ago. We're good in the South Towns.
So yeah, what Brandon said there is, it becomes less of an interaction thing where there's trust back and forth. Like there's actually usually a lot of mistrust. Like I've had bad tech before, and I'm like, all right, well, then maybe you should fill your techs in. Like, anyway, without getting bitter, what it is you have to still take ownership. And when it's not a symbiotic relationship, it takes energy and it leaves you drained at the end of it. Yeah,
there's nothing left. Like you can give and give and give, and you get nothing. Like there was a conference that I did last weekend where like, oh yeah, we'll you know what, you don't have to be there the whole time as long as you can get the system going. Run the music for like the first 20 minutes and then you can go. We'll bring you operators. So, like people, so there's like people that know what they're doing. Oh yeah. You just have to, tell them, how to, what program you use for slides, if it's PowerPoint or something else, and that'll be it. Everything's labeled, right? Yeah, everything's labeled. I got 2 people to show up, neither one of whose primary language was English at all.
So the English labels really didn't work too well for you.
No, I had a Korean lady and a Swedish guy.
Which is fine, right?
And they're married. So they were very defensive about when I tried to talk to one of them, the other one would step in front of them and want to hear what I was saying. I'm like, well, no, this is... Okay, well, the speaker microphone is labeled speaker. It says speaker on it. Okay. I was like, so if it's too loud, pull the fader down. It's too quiet, push it up. Okay, but which microphone will he be talking into? This one that says speaker on it. You know what? Let me get some spike tape and I'll tape it off. Very bright colors for you. Okay. And then thankfully, one of the other guys, Blake, who's been on the show before, showed up. He was like, do you need help? It's like, oh, sweet Jesus, yes. Dude, what do we have to do? He's like, I don't know. I don't have anything going on. I was like, good, sit here for 2 hours. Great. I have to go and mix stuff. And
that's where, like... We were talking about this beforehand. Like, Brandon was looking for a place to get a band in to play up here. We're like, yeah, we're not the concert church. That's those guys across town. And Ant's church is the conference church.
Yeah, they're just all the time. I don't even know what they are.
I don't know either. Like, I don't know how much conferencing does it take?
We got 2 next month.
I feel like every time I ask Anth what's up, he's like, I got this conference they just threw on me. I don't even know what it is.
I just assume he has a conference. I'm like, hey, when you get done with your conference, you want to hang out? Like,
I'm on vacation this week. Well, yeah, but after those 2 conferences, could you? And that happens. There's a big one actually coming up over the summer. Like we're getting a guy that runs something like a 15,000 person attendance on Sunday's church in to speak for it.
Yikes.
It's I think we're gonna see if we can rent like a Pro 6 for it.
Ooh, I know where you can get a Pro 2.
If I can get a Pro 2 cheap enough, I'll do Pro 2.
I know where you
And
can
if
get
in the
one.
process we can get a lot of coffee and dump it on mine, and then have to get something else.
Oh, I had to move it off the desk, and when I did, it just fell. I don't.
All 56 channels are in lots of pieces. And I don't know how they got like
The
that.
IC just shattered in 400 pieces. That's not a bat mark.
I was cleaning my sledgehammer and it just went off. I could not hold that thing back. I tried. I wrestled it to the ground, but the Yamaha just...
It says Louisville Slugger all over it, and I don't know why.
It's just that it got
Maybe they-
imprinted all over the IC. I don't know what happened.
The guy juggling chainsaws just got too close, and he slipped on a banana peel.
He's okay, though. That's
He's
what's
fine.
important.
The Yamaha, though, we need to talk.
The Yamaha saved his life.
It sounds better than it did before. It doesn't turn on now. I hate that thing so much.
I feel like every time I get together with you, you just wait for its demise. You know, power is a wonderful thing. You can really. I
Do
mean,
you
I
need
didn't
my
say that.
three-phase to MIDI adapter?
I didn't say that on record at all.
Well, Anthony and I swap gear all the time. I mean, do you need the... Does that thing have an Ethernet port on it anywhere? We could
make one.
Because I have a 220 to Ethernet adapter, too.
Wait, that exists?
Yes.
Oh,
It came in a bundle pack with
There's actually a
three-phase to MIDI.
There's actually a patented device. It's called the Ether Killer. So there's that in a pinch. Wait a minute. You mean why does this need external phantom power? Like, shut up. Hand me those cam locks.
220 is the same as phantom power, right?
Sure.
Well, if you divide it properly,
It's less
if you go through the
amperage.
correct mathematical.
It's
Right.
more efficient because it's a lot less amperage when it's
Right.
at 220
Yeah, less
AC instead of 48 DC. It's much cleaner. Once the smoke clears.
We need to strike this. I need to keep my job. Because if anything, like there's a channel that's going to die on Sunday. I guarantee you, there's a channel that will die on a Sunday, and they're going to ask me, "What's this three-phase thing you've been talking about on the intrawebs?"
It's a method for improving Yamaha mixers. You know how, like, if you plug in an external word clock into a Yamaha digital desk, it makes it better? If you use the three-phase external phantom.
And it's gone too far. I think we've lost John.
I'm pretty punchy right now. I
you
don't
want-
know why I'm so exhausted. Like, this is before all the nonsense starts at my church.
Do you
Like,
want
this
another
isn't
Dayton
even,
snack?
This isn't even Hell Week. I kind of do. In a minute.
John's hitting the rum balls.
This is a family show. I'll thank you to watch your mouth.
Put that in a swear jar.
Swear jar. I've already learned what the swear jar is.
We need a real big one.
Yeah. I need to start bringing all my poker money.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is the part of the show that our critics rail against when we do this kind of thing. When we're funny about sound stuff, it's okay, but when we're just ludicrously silly.
Didn't somebody like all the hell stories though? They're like, you should incorporate those on everything.
I actually tried. I went fishing for hell stories from the general public, and like Nate and Brett were the only ones that responded.
Really?
Yeah. And like Nate's whole life is hell, so like
Yeah, he's got it pretty bad. I feel bad for that kid. He should come and hang out more.
I know it. He actually, I feel so bad for him because bless your little heart, Nate, if you're listening. Every request he sends me, like, hey, could you do a mini podcast on such and so? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. Don't do it. Like, sorry, we just
Start sending them to me when I get really angry. when I get fed up, like, no, take 55 is my maximum for today.
I actually did the vocal EQ one, but I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I never put it up. I didn't feel like it was good enough. That was right. It was hot on the heels of the EQ post though that blew up Reddit.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I hope you don't want to do drum one this weekend. Sorry.
No,
we need
eventually.
to. We need a Glenn Johns post here before it goes out of style again.
Yeah, the Glenn Johns thing would be good. We'll have to do that.
They'll be back
soon.
Sunday. It's fine. They'll be gone for a total of like 36 hours.
If that. Yeah. Oh yeah. 36.
My drums are going out for backline again this weekend.
I figured that's got to
Or-
put a damper on sessions.
It's just a big pain. It takes an extra hour for me to set it all back up and get it all back, And like I mentioned, we have to use different heads, so I've got to change the heads back out. And then when I get back, if they don't sound that great, I have to change them back out. And it's just, it's a lot of work. But, that's what you get for half owning a drum kit.
Yeah.
I'm doing audio for All For One this weekend. That's that 1990s R&B group.
Oh yeah,
they've got a full Pro Tools session along with their band. So I don't really know if they think that their band won't be heard in the 700-seat venue, or I don't know.
Maybe
we'll
you
see.
could do that thing. You
I
want
thought
to
it
put
was the
triggers in your
band
kit?
or the session.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Except now we're using both. See, the rider said they were going to use either the band or the session, but they're bringing a band, and we also have to supply a Digidesign 003 for them. The Digio 3, I don't know why, but maybe there's backing vocal tracks. I don't know. I have no idea.
It's only how many faders? How many actual inputs is that? Or like physical faders rather. The Digio 3 is only like 10 or 12, isn't it?
Oh, it's the outputs that they want because they're running a session along with the band, sending Click up to the stage for the drummer apparently, and then I have no idea. I don't get it. I'll find out and I'll
get
report.
into that and put something in 13?
I'm sure because I'll probably be running the Pro Tools session. I don't even know what I'm going to do because they're bringing an engineer. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll be running monitors this weekend. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just show up and push things around. I don't know.
That's kind of our lives.
Yep. Yeah.
We actually had a post on that about what it's like being a grown-up sound guy. Just to all the young sound guys out there wanting to get into the business. Like, it's a big play to suck, so you better love it.
Nothing's ever for sure, and you're lucky when you get paid.
Yeah.
I just mentioned that before John showed up, I've got a friend now who's in an up-and-coming worship band, and he just asked me to record his little 3-song session in a living room, and it's gonna be kind of fun. And Ant's gonna tag along, and we're gonna have a good Saturday out of it.
You don't have enough sessions going on this month.
Never. No.
I get paid for this one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And that was my joke. I'm like, yeah, I'm 30 years old, and now I'm getting paid for my stuff, and it's taken this long.
I've only got 6 years to go. Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 6 years behind. What the? Dang, nabbit. All right. Well,
Kingdom Bucks. You get paid in Kingdom Bucks, dude.
Kingdom Bucks.
I always thought that was a joke. Like, if you work at a church, you're like, oh, you'll get paid in the kingdom. Well, like, what? With Kingdom Bucks? Yeah. But someone actually said that at a meeting I was at. Like, they know they'll get their reward. And I looked at it, I was like, with Kingdom Bucks? Like, yeah, with Kingdom Bucks. And they were dead serious. And I got up and left the meeting.
Brothers, store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where thieves cannot steal and rust does not corrode.
Yeah, that's a handy verse to pull out when you're about to screw somebody. That's actually, I really am having a wonderful time mixing at the church that I'm mixing at. But in the previous, let's see, it's been 2 years now. So in the 18 years before that, I only got screwed over 3 times in my entire career. Like, showed up, did a gig, did not get paid at the end of the night. All 3 times.
Churches.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Peter.
I don't expect that at all.
Our buddy Peter, who's a drummer, the only times he owns a landscaping business in addition to playing drums. The only time he's got screwed over was by pastors. And he did a big job. It was like $3,800 job. They're just like, oh, we were just hoping you would donate it. Like,
Business doesn't really work like that.
no.
Keep hoping while I bulldoze your house.
Tax deductions are great and all, but that happens in April.
I just found out my pictures on the ProMark website.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
What?
sponsored by ProMark?
No. Well, technically, the left half of my body, or the right half of my body.
Oh, in
should
Peter's
be,
picture?
Yeah, in Peter's picture. He's winding up for one of the shows we did at Art Park, winding up, and like, that's my elbow. That's my silly little Jufro right up there.
All right, shall we move it around to microphones?
Yeah.
What were we talking about, microphones?
The AKG D12, the new guy.
Pretty excited about that. Heard about that a couple months ago,
It's
actually.
expensive. It's not real expensive, like $500, but I've never paid any money for any AKG stuff. It always just shows up, and I have to try and get rid of it.
I know it. That's how I got mine. But kids listening at home who aren't familiar with the D12, that not the D112. We are not misspeaking here. The D12 is like
It's old.
it's old. It's like the first kick drum mic,
Right.
Basically. Well, they've reissued it now, updated it, all new materials, all new design, passive kick drum mic, but you turn on the phantom power, and then you have access to all these different filters and processing inside the mic, which Brandon had the inside tip. What is it?
It's the green LED. So when you turn on the phantom power, there's three or four different settings. One of them is one of them's red, one of them's blue, one of them's green. The LED switches colors, but apparently the green. Oh, you know what? It was in Modern Drummer that I read
So
this.
that's the juice. And what you get is like different roll-offs.
Yeah, different roll-offs, different, it actually does some different EQ curves. Apparently the green is the money.
There you have it.
That's probably why it's the green one.
Probably why it's the green one. Apparently one of them's for like a jazz drum kit, where you have no port in the drum kit. So you're trying to, stick the mic outside of the kick drum and trying to make a good tone. And they say to use, I think it was the red one. It was the one that had a real big peak on the upper end, so you get some of the punch out of the kick drum. Yeah. Apparently, though, no matter what, the green selection is the way to go.
That's probably the one that reverts it back to the original D12 specs.
Yeah, right?
That's probably what it is.
Is it green like money, or is it green like mold for that vintage sound?
No, it's green like the D112. That's mold.
Still own two, because once in a while you do metal shows.
Once in a while, you like to use them on floor toms and or bass cabs.
True, I actually use mine in the last 10 years. I've used mine a whole lot more on floor toms than
It sounds good on a floor tom.
Yeah,
I think Danny Carey from Tool uses them on all of his toms.
Well, his toms are not human sized, so that works.
Yeah, they're all floor toms, right?
16, 18, 26, 32.
Second floor tom is actually a swimming pool with a head stretcher. What was the other one we were talking about? Was it
the old Audio Technica one that had?
Oh yeah,
it had
a condenser and a dynamic.
Yeah.
Was it the Pro 25?
No, there was the Pro 25 was something different. Like when you were explaining it, it's not what I was thinking. But yeah, you opened up the top of the capsule and had a little small diaphragm condenser, like looked like almost like a AKG 451, maybe even a little bit smaller than that, and like a 57 looking head. And that was neat, other than the fact that it had two XLR outputs and was kind of a pain.
Yeah, well, it was more the proprietary.
Oh, the cable.
It was the cable that like split it out into two different ones. I think no, that's not right. I'm on the Google machine trying to find the number right now. It's older. It came out probably in 2000 and the AE 2500. There it is. Yep,
Some of it 25 in it.
It came out 2002, maybe. Something like that. I used some on some jazz shows.
I was 14. I have no idea what that was.
I don't even want to hear it. Yep, that's it right there. Here, these guys who are in person can see the photo, but yeah, they
look it up, kids.
I used them on some jazz shows, and it actually sounded fantastic. We used it on a saxophone a bit. Sounded amazing on a saxophone. It was a great thing, and it never really took off. And I think it's really because number one, it used two channels, and number two, the cabling was just rough, because it was proprietary cable into the mic, and then it split out into two XLRs, like and that's where it failed.
That stupid Shure 4-pin or whatever it is, like on the Beta 91s, all the.
Right. That's not that uncommon.
No,
like, just because you can't buy them at Radio Shack, like
it's a mini XLR.
They're able to be had.
They're such a.
But yeah, they're a little delicate.
It's just they're very delicate, and that was always the rough part on those mics. I fixed those. I don't even want to know how many times.
You need to not move them. Like that's why they use it on the Beta 91, because it just sits in a kick drum. Like
yeah, but over time, they do break, and you can't just like you said, go down to Radio Shack and pick one up. You have to either
Mauser.
you have to fix it and or order it from somewhere online or something. You're not going to find it.
See, I don't know why they didn't just go with like an XLR5 pin.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's even. That might even be less normal anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
that's old.
You'd still need the splitter. Well, yeah, but those are more of it. Like if you in a pinch, you could pull one off the lighting guy's rig. And
yeah, sure. Why does my board not work?
Make sure you don't plug that mic into DMX, son. Actually, it probably wouldn't hurt it because DMX is only a 10-volt system.
Yeah, it's 10 volt. It's 10 volts. That's how much I know about lighting.
Serial's 12. Is DMX 5 or 10?
You can consult the Google machine.
My lighting guy sabotaged my lighting desk this week. Or my video guy, sorry. Sabotaged my lighting desk.
Is that why you needed floppy disks middle of the week?
Wow.
He texted me, like, I'm in charge of the sound and lights at the church, but the video guy used to be in charge of lights, and he had no idea what was going on. And I think 25 out of the 50 lights we had hanging in the ceiling were out and had been for years, so half the stage was just dark. So they put me in charge of it when I started there, and he told me he knew what he was doing and all kinds of stuff. Like, okay, that's fine. I went through and had to figure out why he had soft patched half of the board to somewhere else, and why didn't you just use a different fader? I don't understand. Anyways, he texted me on Tuesday, Monday, after our service. He said, "Hey, the light board just started doing funny stuff and started rewriting its own cues, and lights were just going on and off." We don't have a great lighting desk. It's a ETC Express 24, same desk that John has. They're not great desks, but they're kind of bulletproof. Like,
they don't rewrite their own scenes. I can tell you that.
They don't just do that.
The thing isn't autonomous. It doesn't it doesn't know how to do that.
You know what? You're lighting this poorly. I'm going to fix it for you.
Actually, I kind of wish those existed.
Either they're like so old and feeble that they like succumb to the ravages of cosmic radiation and just rewrite their memory. Kind of like a DBX processor.
Oh, that does happen. But one of the other sound guys, not the one that I rag on all the time, but Blake again told me, he's like, yeah, he was going in there and punching around on sub pages and doing stuff in blind setup, and I don't know what he's doing, but stuff just started getting real bright and then got real dark, and he just kept hitting stuff around. So dude sabotaged the desk and then told me, he's like, I would like to know how you're going to fix this. Like,
why?
Okay. So I went in and found out that he had just rewritten half of my...
Well, what was the point? Why would he do that?
Because his job is no longer secure. So he
wants yours.
He wants to have something to write on. I don't know. He's half of his job is video, which we don't really do anymore. Like, we don't do a TV show like we used to. We don't any of that stuff. Like, we'll live stream the services, and he's in charge of the website. And we just outsourced the website. So dude's got nothing to do.
The politics of production.
/ church.
Yeah, I suppose. Although
I see it more as church than.
I suppose so. I think John's enamored by the television here. Look at him.
Well, you know, when the magic box is on, I will watch it. Doesn't matter what.
There's no winning. Like, I can't put hockey on anymore because Brandon will watch. You know what?
Baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball's back, and I don't care about baseball.
ESPN Classic. Dial it up.
Spring training, son. I was watching that last night.
Why? You like baseball?
I love baseball.
Oh, jeez. There is no winning.
Simpsons. Damn. We should find something else good to talk about before this gets real stale real quick. Basketball? Who cares about college basketball, right?
That's fine. I can watch that. The parquet floor is relaxing to me as a former carpenter.
It reminds him of his stage.
Reminds me of my stage days and my carpentry days. I just love a hardwood floor.
So moderator, where are we going here?
I don't know. What time is it? Well, we got half a show in. What else? We could go off on the subject of training a little bit. That's actually come up in a couple of different places. First place it came up was on that post I just put up on the blog, titled "Dear Young Engineers," or "Dear Engineers," or I forget what I even called it. I think
Future
it was
Engineers.
"Dear Future Engineers." Ika commented something like, wish I had a couple of those young, motivated chaps to pack my gear out for me at the end of the night for nothing.
Go to Full Sail.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
But I've actually had, not many, but over the course of the last 20 years, a couple of kids. Well, I've actually had hundreds of people like, hey, I'm really interested in doing this. I'm thinking about going to school. What can I do to help? I'm like, well, you can load the truck, son.
Yep.
And 299 of them turn around and walk the other way. Once in a while, though, one will stick around. And
I was one of them.
Yep. A couple of those guys have gotten pretty good. Like, Anth turned out to have freaking dog ears. Like, can hear stuff that I can only dream about.
What a weirdo.
Huh?
What a weirdo.
We were sitting here the other night, and he's complaining about the power lines. I'm like, really?
They're buzzing when it snows outside, or, well, you can't really hear it in the rain, but when it snows and the snow's quiet, it's buzzes.
So he says.
It does. It buzzes. It sounds like a transformer that's ready to go, but not quite
Drugs.
yet. They wrecked a lot more and they made better. Trust me.
Well, whatever. They fixed your eardrums pretty good. But
I just can't smell.
So anyway, like in that situation, like have had a couple of young guys who were really interested and motivated to learn. So like started out loading the truck, learned how to run cables and position microphones, learned how to push faders, and then, finally at the very end of it, learned how to patch amps and mix monitors, like two of the harder things to do, like keep signal routing straight on any decent sized show and keep musicians happy. So having worked with a couple of kids who were really motivated to learn, that was awesome. And it took some time because you can't get them on every gig. And, sometimes the client's really paying a lot. So you can't just like leave them with Skippy from down the block. Like, what are you doing to me? Like, I'm paying you thousands of dollars for this. I don't want the paper boy standing at the console. You stand at the console. And then there's, in my current setup at work, I've got some different volunteers. And a lot of the ones who are actually really interested in learning tech are the young kids. They just seem to have an aptitude for it. It's weird. Like adults will come up. I don't know if it's just that like some things are sort of fully formed and set in their brains, but they look at a 48 channel Midas and they're like, oh gosh, it's so much. Like I used to do this when it was like 10 channels. Like, but a 13-year-old kid will be like, wow, that's big. What does this do? What does this do? What does this do? What did you just do? So that's cool. Like
It's super difficult with older people. Like at my job, the guy that runs and mixes on Sunday mornings has been doing it. Like I can't remember what he said when I started working. He's like, I've been doing this for 12 years. Like, oh really? Me too. Well, you're old enough to be my dad. And he won't listen to. Like I've actually had this happen where John's walked into the building and told him the same exact thing, almost verbatim that I have. He's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But when I said it, like, that's dumb. That's not going to work. But as soon as somebody else that's not my age tells him...
It's because you're a baby.
It's true. Finally just started growing hair on my face. Just in certain spots, though, not everywhere.
But anyway, that led me to another thought that it's tough when you're teaching somebody when all you're working on... like if you've scratched and clawed your way up and, learned from other people and taught yourself stuff... chances are you've worked on a bunch of stuff that didn't matter. Like little $100 a night bar gigs and stuff that you could murder without consequence, learn your hard lessons, and get good. Now you're working on stuff where people expect a certain level of service. It is really tough to, put young Skippy at the console. Like it's tough to find those opportunities where it's okay for them to mix. Fortunately, I have a rehearsal every Wednesday night, and all my musicians are on ear, so I can turn off everything in the house. I can mix stuff poorly in the house. It doesn't matter. Like that's my time to try stuff out. And, the younger kids and the interns who need time to, make mistakes
chops.
and get coaching, they don't have to do it when there's 1,000 people in the room trying to pay attention.
Yeah.
When I was coming up, I was fortunate enough to be part of an organization that did sound for a party band all the time. Still do, actually.
Is that Nick?
Yeah. And it's a very strange organization. They do a lot of shows that don't matter. They do a lot of shows that do matter. And of course, when you first start, you don't do any of the shows that matter. So you go out on these block parties or.
Well, but aren't there two versions of the band? Or
there
three?
are countless.
Yeah.
It's a little background of the band. They're an organization. They call themselves an entertainment organization. They are not technically a band. So there are 100 or more members of this organization. And so on any given show, it's, anywhere between 8 and 14 people that show up to play in these bands, right?
Sounds like relevant.
Right?
Yeah.
So they show up, and every single show you see someone introducing themselves to the other person, which means they've never played with this person before. So the bass player walks up to the drummer and says, "Hi, my name's Joe. Nice to meet you." Like the bass player has never met the drummer.
That's important.
Yeah. So they all play with it. They play with a sequence track. And interestingly enough, the smallest I can ever do this band is 16 channels, and that's with 2 drum channels. You have to, and that's skimping out on some of the sequence channels they give you. So normally you're going to run at least 24 channels with this band, which for someone up and coming is a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
It's a lot of sounds to manipulate and make sound good. And I hated this organization because they're not a band. And I was a drummer.
Yeah.
I was a musician. I grew up as a musician, and I showed up and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. Why am I even doing this? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But then I realized at one point that I like being an engineer. I don't care what I'm engineering necessarily. And that band having 24 inputs and all these crazy sequence channels and different musicians all the time. So, the drummer one week is not the drummer the next week. So you get used to one drummer with certain levels and the certain ways of playing.
Yeah.
And it's different the next week. So, in that respect, I was lucky enough to be put on those crappy block party shows with the crappier musicians.
You have to learn faster and harder.
Still have 24 channels and still have 1,200 people, but they don't really know what they're listening to. Whereas at at a wedding with 200 people, you can't mess that up.
Yeah.
It's got to sound good because it's their wedding, right? But a block party doesn't matter. So I was lucky enough there to be able to,
Didn't those guys play the Super Bowl one time?
No, they say that every year. They play, they play Super Bowl parties. I'll give them this. They play some big ones. Like they played the dude who owns Lucas Oil Stadium, like Lucas, whatever his name is.
George.
They played no, not George. They played his mansion last year. So like they do play some big ones. I'll give them that.
They also play the Fireman's Carnival in my hometown. But what it is, it's like, I won't say their real name, but it's like Bob and the Bangers. So like if you're shelling out big money, you're getting like Bob Sr. and the Big Bangers. And if you're at like little mud hole carnival tractor pull type event in my hometown, you get like Bob Jr.'s best friend's cousin's junior high lab partner and some guys that hung out once with the Bangers. Like that's the band that you get at the lower echelon.
It can be pretty rough. And we've instituted a motion as the sound guy. And it's imagine like you're a trucker and you're pulling on your horn, but we go woo woo. That means train wreck. and we know what songs happen. For instance, like Love Shack. That's a train wreck. If the band has never played together before, I can
see that being hard to hold together.
Because it's the same song. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Anything that's the very repetitive song, because they're playing to a click track,
and you lose your place. Because there's nothing to think about.
Then all of a sudden, there's sequence keys, which is basically like a MIDI track running in the background, literally from the early 90s, running in the background. All of a sudden, that's playing something like the verse when the band happens to be on the chorus. And wow, does that turn into a mess.
You gotta have a bailout procedure when you're playing with backing tracks.
The session that I was doing tonight, it was a good song, but the chord structure changes very, very lightly. But it's a totally different part of the song. He's like, wait, did I just not record? I only recorded the bridge once. I thought I did it twice. We had to go back and listen because all he wanted a click and one set of keypads just to stay on pitch, which is fine. But the string pads are just holding a 1 and a 5, and the song goes in parallel keys. So you're going from E major to E minor real quick. He's like, wait, right. And then I pushed all the other guitars. I was like, oh no, this is where it is. And we almost finished the track, and he went home. And he's like, let's listen back to that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to put the scratch vocal back in. Like, oh, you missed the whole half of the song. Let's get back on that. That's why I got home like 5 minutes before you got here.
Yeah. Running with sequence tracks is an interesting thing, and that's something that, when I first started doing audio, I guess I just assumed was a normal thing because that's what I did, right?
Mm-hmm. It's becoming more common now that it's easier to implement.
And again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm doing it this weekend, right? But it's and it's big on a lot of like the big pop shows that are out there. They run backing tracks for everything.
If they even use live tracks.
Right. Yeah. If they even turn on the microphones that happen to be placed in the performer's vicinity. But with I almost call them their full name. We'll call them Flip and the Nice Tries.
It's even closer than Bob and the Bangers.
Their sequence tracks, it's what it sounds like. They use MacBooks from the 90s, like the ones that are pieced together from eBay.
The ones that are like clear with like you could pick what color outline you wanted on.
No, not an iMac, but it's basically from that era though. It's the same era. That was like the iMac, iBook. Okay, yeah.
ThinkPad?
No, that's an IBM
PowerBook.
PowerBook. That's what it is.
But they were clear.
It's PowerBook.
They had
no,
like
this one's
colors.
not clear. This one's like just black.
Yeah.
Okay.
With like a little
Yeah,
Apple
the first
logo
Mac.
in the corner. But they buy all the pieces and parts from eBay because if they
awesome.
don't, and they carry 2 on every show because they fail
know they're gonna crap.
constantly. I would say 70% of the shows I'm on, the first one fails because it's that old. I mean, what do you expect? It's not meant to do that.
And
but-
they just won't shell out. Like they're
No,
really
and they
married to
make-
Studio Vision. Or
Here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. They have a studio in their like corporate office, and the even crazier part is the smallest amount of money that they play a show for is upwards of $2,000.
Right.
And the musicians don't make anything basically. So I know from doing this for 10 years, I know some of these people, I know how much they make, and it's nothing. I can't believe they come out and do it still. I wouldn't come out for a show for that cheap.
That's why we just do it for free.
So they pay these 10 to 15 musicians less than $100 a piece, right, to come out, but they're making twice or 3 times or 4 times that per show. I've seen them make upwards of $10,000 for these shows.
Merca.
And they still they still don't shell out any kind of money to redo these sequence tracks. I just don't understand.
And MIDI's still MIDI. Like
Yeah.
it's the same standard.
It's
They
all
They could use all the same hardware except for MacBooks. If they just got new MacBooks and resequenced, you know what? They could even use the same sequence tracks. I guarantee if they didn't want to redo them.
You can get a $200 netbook.
They sound so bad though. Oh, they just.
Well, with whatever synth. Are they actually like playing MIDI tracks through a synth, or what are they doing?
No, it's straight off the MacBook. So I don't.
Oh, so they're playing back digital audio.
It's pre-programmed. Yeah, it's all pre-programmed digital audio that was pre-programmed. Who knows how long ago?
Why not just get an iPod?
That's a great question. I've said this so long. Well, they split it into 6 tracks for me. So I've got a bass, a key, a horn track.
So, what do you have, an interface that breaks it out, or
They do. Yeah,
Okay.
it's. You know what? To be honest, I've never looked to see what it is because I just don't care. And I've done this hundreds of times, but I just don't care enough, right? So all I have is I've got 6 direct boxes in a rack that they provide. It's some MIDI interface. I don't know what it is. You know what? Now you've said that, I'm going to look next time I do a show and figure out what it is because it makes me question why they do what they do. I just feel like they could be doing it so much easier with so much more control. Like when I was,
it seems
when I
like
was,
there was like a guy that did that for them in the '90s, and then they got in a fight. And
the
then they
guy's still
realized-
there. No, the guy's still there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, that's what I don't get because he still programs the newer songs that they do.
Oh,
What makes no sense to me is like I drummed for you guys at your church, at John's church. That's a pretty decent system they've got going. It's all iPad run.
Yeah.
The tracks sound pretty good for what they are. The click sounds fine in my ears. It even tells me if I'm in the verse or the chorus, which is really funny
right.
And helpful.
and helpful.
You know, power of voice, dude. Verse.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go. But their Flippin' the Nice Tries tracks are just rough.
Are you
And
gonna
I
get
guess
us
I've
a-
digressed from the sound guy thing here and just on a rant about their tracks, but
Nice try, Flip.
yeah.
They're not going to come over here, are they?
No, they're not like
send the
Dave.
enforcers.
Dave's.
If they're a house divided, they'll never know.
Them and Dave are plotting something. I guarantee it.
Well, that's a whole just super lucrative area of the business. Like I can think of all the hundreds of nights that I've spent out in bars for $100, $200, $250, and my friends that DJ like throw up 2 pole speakers, open a laptop, give me $600.
Yeah, all the time.
Like,
and
and-
weddings, the wedding DJs.
That's what I'm saying. They're wedding DJs, like
Those-
600 to 800. Like he
Not
will
even.
don't get off the couch for less
Thousands.
than $800.
thousands of
Like
dollars.
for a friend, for a tiny
Right.
wedding for a friend,
$500.
$800.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
And for their gear costs, a total of $3,000, including their MacBook.
I would slit my wrists an hour into the first one.
Oh,
like
me
just
too.
the thought of drunk bridesmaids alone makes me want to just run and hide.
The thought of having to play
Depends
the
on the
chicken
bridesmaids.
dance, the chicken dance and the electric slide.
Brett was
every
pretty
time.
awesome. We did karaoke at our wedding.
Yeah.
And
With people who can actually sing.
yeah, it was a theater department. We had a theater department at our wedding.
That works.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I wasn't inside for most of it. I had like 6 cigars and some really, really
That's
top
my
of the line
man.
whiskey.
Yeah.
But there's that, and wedding bands, like you know, think about it, kids. Like, if you're a musician listening to this, like, you could struggle your way up writing those originals and building up the fan base and stuff, or you could just learn a bunch of 80s and 90s tunes and play weddings and make more money than you've ever dreamed of playing your instrument.
Listen to this man right here. Listen to this man.
And sound guys, follow those friends that decide to be in wedding bands, because it is lame as hell.
But you still get tons of cash. That's the entire reason
we made more money
exists.
playing a bunch of covers, me and Brandon, last week than we have the entire we did a Johnny Cash birthday party.
Yep. And even if it's a cash bar for the family, it's open bar for the band.
That's
right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Not as a hard and fast rule, but generally the bartender will help the band out.
Or you bring your own 12er of PBR
bar,
and you're done.
No, don't open that floor tom case.
One of our lighting friends actually has a road box that an Igloo 24-pack cooler fits inside of perfectly. It's got a little styrofoam in there to shim it out. So, like, he goes and does bar gigs, but he brings his own beer.
But it's got "Do Not Flip" written on the top, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, bartenders will comp the band a few drinks, and usually the techs too. But, like, this guy goes through a case of beer in a night, and he's not paying $4 a piece for a Molson. So, like, he makes sure he doesn't bring something that they don't carry. Like, he won't bring Molsons to a bar that doesn't have Molsons. But yeah, he brings his own, he buys his first one.
That's what you call advancing a show.
Yeah.
You know, he was kind of joking, but John's totally right. For those of you young musicians listening out there,
I wasn't joking at all. If you want to be fulfilled, pursue that virtuistic, altruistic.
Do it for a while and remember what it's like to live on your cousin's uncle's couch.
Eating ramen noodles dry because you can't afford water.
Yeah. And by cousin's uncle, I mean your father's couch. And
no one else got that, huh?
I didn't get that either.
And then remember, and then go join a party band and realize that you're going to make $500 per person per gig if you do it right.
Yep.
And
even
then
if you don't,
you'll understand.
Who else, like, if you're a decent player in a band that's getting decent work, you can work 2 nights a week, bring home $400 a week. Like, I've worked construction jobs that didn't pay that much, and I had to kill myself for 50 hours a week.
Yeah, it's nothing. All you have to do is play some songs that you hate. Just drink some more beer, and you'll be fine.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and if you find a good enough promoter that likes you, they just buy you everything. I've never gone to a show that Chris Ring has promoted that I haven't, or that I've paid for anything at, ever.
Here's another suggestion. Find a band you really like and become a really good tribute band. Because those bands,
there's money in that.
If you're willing to travel, there is a lot of money in that. This casino that I work at a lot, they do tribute bands all winter, and they do not pay them less than $2,500 per show.
People pay bank to see somebody dress up like Gene Simmons.
Yeah, you name a band. You name some classic popular band.
The people with costumes typically get more though, like ZZ Top, Kiss, Elvis. Oh my gosh. Like all those guys.
It's no joke. They put you up for the night. You get totally, of course you get fed. They pay you for your travel. They pay everything. And then they pay you. You don't have to pay anyone to any tax.
There's no expenses for you. You get comped everything and they pay you.
Yeah. And you don't have to pay a tech. The techs are just there. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I mean, and this is not uncommon. This is what there are people who live like this.
Well, there are bucket loads of them. Like, just in the area. Like, we live between Buffalo and Rochester in Western New York. Like, I can think of 2 Scorpions cover bands, 2 Pink Floyd cover bands, 1 Ozzy cover act, and there's another one from further away. Like, those are just the ones I can think of in
basically
half a minute.
just name a band.
My guitar teacher, his name's Steve, and he's played, he used to play with Rick James guys and all that stuff.
So he's a true musician.
Like,
sure.
he's a monster. He's a dick of a guy, but he's a real good guitar player. And he moved out to Vegas. That's where his kids were, and they moved back a couple years ago to take care of his mom. Moved back out to Vegas. Is signing with a family a multi-million-dollar few-year deal for playing 5 nights a week at a casino. Couple weekend shows here and there outside of the casino, but he doesn't have to have a day job.
What is it, like a cover band of some sort?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all covers, lounge stuff.
Sure.
But they're actually, the family's from Buffalo. They're killer musicians. They're real good, but it's not, finalized yet, so I don't want to say too much. But
Well, there's, I drum teched for about a year and a half with a band. They played like hard rock covers of tunes. So it wasn't even a tribute. They were a cover band. They played hard rock covers. There's a big cover circuit that I had no idea existed until this. We were on a tour bus. Like, no joke. Yeah. They could pay me and a lighting guy and a sound guy to bring a 24-foot truck full of PA gear to their shows. Oh. So they were making bank.
Yeah. Just
bank. And they were an original band as well, so they put out their original music, but they were allowed to play 1 to 2 songs of theirs per set.
Right.
But they would play all night.
Well, that was what Battery used to do. There's a famous Metallica cover band who has actually played with Metallica, but they have their own band called Disaster Area or something, but they would open for themselves on tour, get paid as the opener, get paid as the headliner.
That's brilliant.
Jump back on the bus, drive to another one.
That Sublime cover band does that too. Bad Fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they always open Scotty knows.
Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know. That's the same dudes in a different band that open for themselves on every show and make bank. And they play the Town Ballroom 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no slouch.
No.
1,000 cap room packed out, $20 a ticket. I ran into a cool one of these. These were some gents who had really diversified, and it's not important to anything at all, but one of the cool things about them is they have Ozzy's bus from the Blizzard of Oz tour.
Nice.
They had tracked, they could show in the sales receipts, the provenance that had come from, this motor coach company and through this production company.
There's a whole lot of Satan receipts in there.
Yeah. But anyway, I was working for a street festival near my hometown, and they had booked, I don't know why they thought this would be a good idea, but who's the Margaritaville dude?
Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett. So they booked this Jimmy Buffett tribute act, thinking, we'll bring out the parrot heads. Everybody will be wearing Hawaiian shirts and whatnot. And there was one dude with a Hawaiian shirt. He had an inflatable parrot on his shoulder, and that was it. So these guys show up, and they were all cool. We got through the sound check, got them all set to go, and they start playing, and nobody's into it. So they shortened up their first set, played I don't know, only 40 minutes or something like that. Not that much. Did all the hits.
Yeah.
Got it right out of the way because they just figured everybody was going to leave. I mean, this intersection was packed. There were 7,000 or 8,000 people there, I think. So anyway, they're we're going to take a quick break. And they're all Southern dudes. So they would sound like Jimmy Buffett. And then all right, y'all are great. Hey, listen, we're going to jump down here, change our shirts because we're getting a little sweaty. Going to have a sip of cool beer and we'll be right back, play you some more music. So, turn on some tunes. And one of them, bass player comes out. And he was just man, this is a tough crowd, dude. And he was trying to hand me his drink. He's here, man, you want a little toot of this? It's just whatever. He was clearly just out to party, so he was living the life. But anyway, we get to talking in the 7-minute set break or whatever. He's oh yeah, man, we don't just do this. And we're because we were talking about how it bombed with the crowd. I was man, I wish we could do our Skinner act. So I pressed him. He's oh yeah, we don't just do Buffett. We got the costumes and everything, man. We do Skinner, we do Marshall Tucker. We're doing Skinner tomorrow at the Syracuse Fair, and then we're doing Marshall Tucker down here. And so I was oh. He goes, hey, man, what'd you think? Could we do our Skinner set here? That would actually probably go over a whole lot better than this. Sure enough, they go on stage, the ponytail holders come out, the hair comes down, the cowboy hats come out, the Confederate flags are flown in front of the Marshall stacks. I'm not kidding you. So, They went from being kind of clean cut in the white trousers, the beachcombers and the sun hats and shades and stuff and Hawaiian shirts to, ripped blue jeans and cowboy hats and,
And did the crowd respond?
Oh, yeah. It came out, played the first 3 notes of Sweet Home Alabama, and the place lit up. It was ridiculous. But, think about that. The more stuff you cover as a cover band,
yeah.
They were three very specific cover acts. You buy us and we come as close to Marshall Tucker, Leonard Skinner, or Jimmy Buffett as you can get without hiring the original. And their fourth act was like the act that Brandon had worked for, just a straight up party band. We'll come and play all the great hits of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and today.
Yeah.
That kind of crap. So 4 different ways to make straight bank. Those guys got paid $10,000.
There's 4 of them in the band, right?
No. Was it drummer, bass, 2 electric, 1 acoustic, a front man, and a keyboard player?
Oh, so 6 people.
6 or
They probably each
7.
got $1,000.
Oh no, and 3 female backup singers.
Oh. So they might have gotten $500 a person to play the show, and then the rest of it went to travel and And
Oh no, we had to comp them hotel rooms and food and. So yeah, like no
band fund?
expenses. Like
so they each got paid $1,000.
right,
Sure.
gas in the bus, $1,000 a pop,
Done.
do it again, day off.
I
do
mean,
it again.
if you want to travel and then, of course not, there's got to be some like lack of self-respect.
Well, but think about that. Like,
how long
if
could you possibly pretend to be Marshall Tucker
if
before
you
you're...
could keep that up for a month, all right? If you could go out and do 30 days, or actually more common would be like 6 weeks, all right? So
30 shows in 6 weeks.
right,
yeah.
30 dates, 6 weeks. So you get a couple of off days. You make $500 a night.
You're making twice minimum wage.
for 30 dates.
Yeah.
But if you got a spouse at home that works, you work 6 weaks a year
Right.
and do whatever the hell you want. For the rest.
I actually know of a band who does exactly that, and they work the spring break circuit because that's about 6 weeks ish. It's a month or 6 weeks.
Right.
I can't. They're called like USA or Star or something. They're out of Alabama. And we went, they were kind of on the same like cover circuit that the band that I was touring with was on. And one of the dudes knew one of the other dudes. So anyway, we went down there and they were playing like the Florida circuit, right? For spring break. Cause it starts up higher and then goes down into Miami and then comes back up. And those guys were loaded. And we went into their studio cause the guys that I were teching for were going to like record a couple tunes while they're on the road. And it's this beautiful, ridiculous studio in the backwoods in Alabama. And all these guys do for a living is this like party band vibe, but they play these clubs for like 10,000 people at a time because it's just a bunch of kids who want to hear songs that they know already.
Right.
And they get paid serious cash and get put up. And the cool thing too for a band like that, they played like full like 3 to 10 day stints. So you show up at a club and you play there for 3 to 10 days.
Yep.
So it's the easiest gig on the planet. You don't rehearse. You don't do sound check. You show up the first day, you sound check and set your gear up. And then you're there until a week from now.
Show
All
me
you have
the
to do
crash
is
services.
yeah. You show up and you play a gig for 4 hours and that's your whole day. So they hang out on the beach in Florida. It's literally, they play volleyball and drink beer all day, and then they go play a show for 4 hours, and then they party all night.
And some might say it's selling out, but
Sounds like a good life.
do
to
that
me.
for 2 months. That pays your bills for, the year, and then you can suffer for your art, but not really because your bills are paid for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you can actually have fun with your art. That's why these dudes have this studio, because they have whatever project they're working on.
Actually, the King Daddy example of this, and I mentioned this in the post, was a buddy of mine, is a lighting guy. He does some stuff for like a couple of people you heard, like Alice in Chains, Neil Young. He's the touring guy, so like I don't know if actually
Doesn't he do some programming too, though?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he designs his own stuff, but like, and actually, he may be to the point. Actually, I never see him. Like, he's always gone. It's like I never see him to talk to him. But at any rate, he's the guy who's out there night after night on the road, whether he designed the show or not. But at any rate, he did a show, an extended world tour for a female pop star that like most people would sooner slit their wrists, like gouge their own eyes out.
And
like,
some have.
roll around in razor blades and lemon juice, like just the opposite of a gig that you want to be on, the exact opposite of a gig you want to be on. But he toughed it out. I mean, he would be gone. Like, he's got a cute wife and a baby back home in Brooklyn. Toughed it out on the road. Got done with it. Got home. And now he technically doesn't have to work until 2014 or 15. Well, he finished the tour last year. So, like, he can pretty much just take stuff that he wants to right now. So, like, go out with Alice in Chains for 4 or 5 weeks at a stretch, because those guys all have families too. So like,
they don't tour a whole
he
time.
can do those. If Neil Young calls up and he doesn't feel like listening to a bunch of whining, you can tell him no. But that's the thing. Like,
Heart
do
of
you
gold,
sell out?
hard to
Like,
shove it up your...
people talk about bands selling out, and that was Metallica's classic answer. Like, yeah, we sell out. We sell out arenas. We sell out sheds. We sell out stadiums.
Yeah.
What of it? Like,
Selling out's a very, very funny and typically very young mentality.
Right.
Once you actually start having responsibilities and things you need to pay for,
Or once
you'll
you see-
sell your left testicle, basically.
Or once, not even that. Just like once you see that amount of money in front of you, like when you see that many zeros in your bank account at one time, or just the pile of cash.
so did you want my whole soul, or is
Yeah,
that
you
for
can just,
part?
you can have it. It's
We're
fine.
doing this on installments. How do you need it? Holy cow, we made it.
Wow, really?
We're over an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
We barely said anything.
See, basketball. I think basketball does it.
That's it. Yeah, we didn't.
I
pay
haven't
any
looked at the
attention.
TV since you turned it on. It's been fabulous. Or if I haven't comprehended it. It's just people running around. It doesn't make any sense to me. All right. Well, anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in, despite what it may be, despite
Being
the lack
wildly
of
haphazard.
despite the lack of order, planning, and our not funniness. Actually, it was funny though. The one guy did accuse us of not being funny, and then like 4 other people, people were texting me to tell me how funny the Pro Tools episode was.
It was just me and John being angry at each other. Like, shut up with your free dog. I've got, mine says Chris Lord algae on it.
But how do you make it do X?
You feed it Y and then light candles in the pentagram on the floor and slaughter alligators. And it just happens. You leave and you come back, and usually the demons are gone.
Oh, speaking of demons, we could talk about troubleshooting. We'll bring that up next week after I get through another week of gremlin.
Oh, man.
I have such gremlins at work, and they don't show up until 8:05 on Sunday morning.
Yep.
Naturally.
Just fresh into sound check. Everything's been clear as a bell all week, and then suddenly nobody can hear the lead singer in the monitors. Awesome. All right. Before we get too far over the limit, just wanted to say thanks once again to everybody who has responded, who has sent your words of encouragement and appreciation. That so matters. If you were even thinking about dropping us a note, please do, because life's awfully depressing as a sound guy. So any little ray of hope that you care to send our way, any well wishes, we appreciate that. What we appreciate even more, though, are your comments, your questions, your ideas for posts or for shows, things you want to know about, things you would like us to discuss. So shoot those in. You can find us on Facebook, Smart to Noise. You can find the blog. If you're a listener and not yet a reader, check out the blog. It's at smart2noise.blogspot.com. It's actually probably likely to be a little sparse here the next couple of weeks. This is actually busier than the Christmas season for me and Anth.
Yeah.
This little bit. The good news is if we do get a free minute, you should get some good stories from stage and studio.
I'll probably post something up there too.
Yeah, we'll get Brandon, because he's not busy with school or anything.
No.
Also, if there's a drummer free, call me.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We are fresh out of drummers this week. We may be using backing track drummers. I don't know.
Ooh, yikes.
But anyway.
Tell me to Skype in. I've got an electronic kit.
I could do that for you.
Can you? All right.
Yeah.
You MIDI, send MIDI.
I could play just Sunday if you want.
That doesn't
No,
help.
no, I can't. I'm going to be recording. Never mind. Sorry.
Whatever. Whatever. We'll get it. We'll get through it. We'll get it done. Well, whatever. We are going to wrap this up before it gets too much overboard. So that's it. That's the show. Such as it is. Bunch of guys rambling on, being bitter, being punchy because we're sleepy.
Yay.
Yay. That's it. All right. Good night. Thanks.